Welcome to In the Chute Round 4. Today, it is a public service announcement, folks, for watching your driving in the fall. I'm Kalen Carpenter with the Hash Knife Ranch. You can find me at CB Carpenter on Facebook or Hash Knife Kid on Twitter.
And I'm Brandon Carpenter, and you can find me if you come in for a dry saddle blanket.
That's perfect. All right. So for today, it's actually going to be a longer In the Chute episode. This is I don't know if I said this yet. It's a public service announcement. Yeah. Watch your driving in the fall. I have seen in the last couple of days, and it's been I don't know if it's just been past experiences that have now been recorded this year or whatnot, but one for sure was this year, and it was a car was driving way too fast, and it hit a semi truck with a livestock trailer. If you've ever seen a livestock trailer, it looks like a stainless steel trailer with holes all over the side, and on the back there's just kind of this weird ramp slash shutter gate on the end, and in the inside they can hold up to about 90 to 100 calves that have just been weaned off their mamas. Now, after that was hit and tipped over, and they didn't know how many calves survived, and I never was able to get an update on it, unfortunately.
They went over all the way on its side?
Yeah, it was all the way over on its side. And then I did see some follow-up pictures of they're throwing bodies on the back of flatbed pickups and taking them to the boneyard. I don't know the numbers, but that's, you look at 100, and let's say only 25 died. That's not only 25% of your crop loss, but it's also 75 to 60 calves just dead for no reason. And then again, the other day I saw on a Facebook friend and a former classmate from high school, she shared something that it was a car had been literally run over the top of. It was driving, and a pickup came and drove over the top of it with the trailer attached. And it was simply because that car whipped in front of the pickup and stopped suddenly. Guess what that pickup was holding? It was holding livestock, whether it was bulls or cows or calves or horses. All that weight in the back end, if you understand basic physics whatsoever, that pickup cannot stop. And it just rammed right into that car, and then not only hit it, but went over the top and was sitting over the top. And it was jackknifed. Part of the trailer was over the top of the car, and part of the pickup was over the part of the car. So I don't know if the car drivers were surviving or not, or if they were just seriously injured, or if they got out lucky. I don't know. But the public service announcement today is, please, when you are working around big rigs, which are semi trucks or even just tractors with their harvesting equipment, or pickups and semis with livestock in the back, please be careful. There's been times where growing up, we were following big, almost dump truck looking vehicles, and there was stuff falling out the back on the highway, and we're like, what's that? And Mom's like, oh, gotta back up a little bit. And all she did was she just kind of let off the gas and just kind of drifted back, because what was in the back? Sugar beets. What's a sugar beet? It's literally beet that creates sugar, and you can use it in all sorts of different food types. And those things can be anywhere between 5 pounds to 20 pounds.
Yeah, that'd be a giant beet, but they're just a big root. They're like a really super fat carrot, only.
But those things come out at you, and they hit your windshield.
Ooh.
They can not only shatter your windshield, possibly come through it, but they could hurt you and kill you. You're going fast enough speed. Back up, take your time, please. Just as the public service announcement to all the rest of those not involved in ag and don't understand, please just back up, take your time, understand what's in those vehicles, especially this time of year during the fall, and just work around them. They're going their own pace. They're trying to stay slow. Don't whip in front of them. Understand they're trying to be patient and take their time, because there's not only their lives at stake, but oftentimes there's also the lives of the animals in the back at stake as well.
Well, and really you can say, go out on a limb and say anything with a trailer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I mean, how many times have you been with me when we've had an empty trailer?
Yeah.
We've either delivered something or we're going to get something, and just that extra weight back there pushes you along, even if the trailer's empty. Or you could
Definitely.
have say an 18 wheeler with a load of steel on there, and steel is heavy. You know,
Yeah.
you got like you said, the we call them pots, or they're a big cattle truck. That's aluminum. Looks like stainless steel, but it's aluminum. That aluminum still is heavy. I mean, it
Oh, for
weighs
sure.
up because it's huge. You know, those things are 3 and 4 levels tall
And about
for,
150 feet long, right?
well, no, you're looking probably 48 feet with the
Really?
tractor. You're
On
looking,
the road, it looks a whole lot longer.
yeah, well, yeah, especially when you're trying to go around it, right? But
Yeah.
you know, you can have anything on there, and some of those heavy loads like steel don't look like there's much there, but the weight is there because they're not going to take a half-filled trailer if they can't help it. And
Right.
trying to get that thing shut down, I don't know how truck drivers do it through larger cities and stuff. It's just nuts. But you're looking at something that's not got a bunch of live animals like you're talking about, but and it's not so much just following it. Um, so many times I'm trying to stay back from somebody so
Right.
that it gives me plenty of room, and some jackwagon in some little rice burner comes ripping around, and they go, "Oh, there's 14 feet. I can slip
Yep.
right in here," and they'll
Whip right
cut
in.
right in front of you, and then hit the brakes,
And that's
and you're
all
doing
your
everything you
braking
can.
room that you would plan for. All of
Yes.
it. Yep.
Now you got a bunch of animals in the back of that, and you're right. Some of these trailers are. I think you know, depending on the length of the trailer, they do vary, and the configuration inside. I've seen 105, 106 head of calves, and when I'm talking calves, I'm talking 550, 600 pound calves
Right.
stuffed into a trailer, and
Right.
they have little like little mezzanines. You know, they're going up to the whatever department in the store. They get to the top, and so these things are also top heavy, and that's why, you know, it doesn't take much to tip them over when they hit. It was 2 days ago. I was coming down the road on that, not too far from us east, on that Shepherd Acton Road, and I saw ahead. I saw, oh, that truck looks like he's going to try to make that corner from a ways off. I'm like, you know, a mile away, and I can see something down there, and I went, oh, that don't look good because he's not moving on that corner.
And that's
And the
never good.
closer
When
I get,
something's not moving on the road, especially in
yep.
Montana where it's wide open everywhere, there's probably a problem.
Well, and you know how wide that road is. It's not super wide. So
Yeah.
as I get closer,
And the
oh, okay,
worst part is there's not much of a shoulder either. It's mostly just
no,
road and then ditch.
right. And
Yeah.
it is right there at this place, and particularly on this crossroads that comes from 12 Mile Road up to Shepherd Acton Road. If anybody's familiar with that, and most of you won't be, but believe me, it is just like Kalen said, and it's 4 roads coming in, and they're narrow. And I think he had not gotten far enough around on the side, and he turned, and he's got a cattle truck. It looked to me like it was empty, but oh god, it was the hind wheels of the right hind wheels of the trailer were down in the corner off of the road. The trailer itself was being held up by the bottom of the trailer on the edge of the road, and the truck was trying to turn over, so he'd almost made the corner. But when he turned and it fell over, that trailer picked up when the hind end went down, and the dual wheels on that tractor itself, or the truck part, were about 8 to 10 inches off of the ground. And it was just hanging there.
And
And
that's,
then here,
I guess that should be another thing real quick too. When those truck drivers, and I think this might be something that we could probably pull Uncle Ron on here to
yeah,
talk about too, because he's a truck driver. But when those truck drivers are trying to take a right hand turn, there's no room. So if you're in that lane and you see a semi truck coming at you trying to turn, taking their right hand turn, don't feel like you have to be up on that white line. Take your time and back up a little bit and give them that room to come into your lane and come around, because where their vehicle comes, that's not where their truck comes. The back end of that truck trails and it doesn't quite meet the same line as that truck. So that's why they take such wide turns. And that's probably what led to what you're saying is because the roads are so narrow,
right.
he probably went out as far as he could, but he just couldn't quite make it, and that butt end of the trailer hit that corner
Yep.
and it was sinking down.
That's what it was. And I'm pretty sure he wasn't loaded, but you know, there's nothing more you know, and again, we sound kind of hard and callous that we're taking animals to slaughter, but they're still living beings, right?
Right.
And we want to take care of them as best we can, give them a good life, and they go into our food chain. Let's face it, but there's no reason to abuse them or, wish anything bad to happen to them. And when you got animals that can suffer, they could be laying there in that trailer on its side
Yeah.
for hours with broken legs, broken limbs, being crushed by other ones, suffocating. I mean, for what? Because somebody didn't slow down, or somebody didn't think, or they crowded somebody, got in front of them, jammed on the brakes.
That's a good
Happens all
point
the
too,
time.
and I think it leads into maybe a lot of the times PETA, some things that PETA may say is we're not treating animals humanely. I, I don't know anybody, at least from the agriculture perspective, that wants those animals treated inhumanely, and that is
No.
we'll take care of them. We'll doctor them for God's sakes, and we'll make sure that they're okay getting to market. And then once they get to market, those people will feed them, make sure they're okay, because they want them fat and they want them to be healthy, so it
Right.
doesn't ruin the meat that we as consumers are about to take in as into our bodies. And when we go to slaughter them, it's not like we're making it sufferable at all. There's ways that they have gone about in those slaughterhouses to try and make it as quick and painless as possible so it doesn't hurt. And if it does, it's so short-lived that it doesn't create such a horrible sufferable experience.
Right. Right.
That's the big thing, is from our perspective, it's never been we don't want this sufferable at all. It's always been, let's make this as humane as possible, no matter what, whether
Yeah.
they're in our care or whether they're about to see the end of their life. It's always been, let's take care of them as much as possible.
Well, and I think that is a testament to the way we've come in the last 40, 50 years. I remember as a kid, there were a lot of guys that were, I call them cowboyish.
Yeah.
There's a difference between being a cowboy and being a cattleman,
right,
or a cowboy and being a horseman. There's a big difference there.
And we need to. I think that's probably something we do on a hangouts rather than
that
one
is
of these
another good
in the
hangout.
chute, because that's a big deal.
Yeah, but I think the care of animals has really changed and gotten better overall. Not that it was the whole industry was that way. It wasn't. There were enough there that were, not as I really searching for the right word. Empathetic, maybe, to another
that's probably
species,
a good word. Yeah.
As they could have been or should have been, maybe. And so there's been a lot of, over the years, emphasis on doing this thing, raising animals, transporting the whole process of putting them in into our from a calf to our feeder to into our bellies, has gotten much better. I think it's gotten to where people understand, you know what? Yeah, these are animals. True, they're food, but you know what? They're a living being.
Yeah.
And when you can walk into your herd and you manage your herd in a way that they will load on a trailer for you, with little trouble, because we have transported some of our animals from summer pasture or over to summer pasture. It happens. It's rare that we do it, but it does happen. But when you can walk out and look at these animals and they come to you and they're not afraid of you. We may not be able to touch each one on the nose because there's that little bit of a personal space, because they're still an animal.
Yeah.
There's a couple of exceptions, like ears and number 66. I call her Big Rhonda.
Yeah. I would say the twins, Frick and Frack, are getting there. Whenever I've come home, Frick and Frack, they're on the cusp. They're on the cusp.
Yeah, that was a set of twin heifers that we actually kept, and they've been both good cows.
80 and 82. Yeah.
Yep. But when you see that into a herd, or people can walk through their animals like that, they're not abusing them, and that includes right onto the time when they go to somebody else. So you care about them. We're going to be shipping next week and gathering these calves up, cows and calves. We're going to wean them, and then we're going to take trailer loads in stock trailers to the stockyards, those that we don't keep back for butcher or for replacement heifers. And you're careful, you drive carefully, you're not moving around, jostling them around too much, because you want that, you don't want to hurt them. You
Right.
want to get them to market, you want them to load up in another truck and go to a feedlot and get fat. One of the things that is as a public service announcement, because we see this a lot this time of year because there's so many animals on the road. But anytime you see a horse trader, or what you think is a horse trader, it could be a stock trader. There's all kinds of different traders in the ag markets or an ag use. But when you see a trailer like that that could hold an animal, it could be in February, March, May, June. I mean, all through the year, people are transporting animals.
Yeah.
And horses can be especially susceptible. You got a larger animal, they're usually not stacked as close together. And when you hit the brakes on something that's standing on 3 foot long stilts, that's not easy for them too. So
yeah.
You just gotta look and be aware of not just staying behind them, but stay out away from them, in front of them. Don't force them to ride your tail because you've jumped into the middle of the lane that you're driving in, or that you want to be in, and that they're already into. So
yeah,
there are a lot of issues there, tons of issues there.
And I think that's a good segue into what I wanted to kind of throw out there too, which is we oftentimes transport anywhere between April and July, typically, not always, but typically, we're transporting colts. Like brand new foals. And
10 days, 2 weeks old at the max.
Yep. And when do you remember the last time you were walking just for the first time on your legs? Really. And like you said, it was on 3 foot long stilts. I saw something I say the other day, but really maybe a month or two ago, something where those legs that those colts have, they're about 2/3 the length that they'll have for the rest of their life. They're only going to grow about another third, and that's why everybody goes, "Oh, I see that colt. It's all legs." I'm like, "Yep, sure is," and that's why. Well, they just got their sea legs only a week and a half ago, and they're finally figuring out, "Oh, this is what I got going on," and you throw them in the back of a trailer.
Can you do that again?
Woo! This is what I got going on. Yeah, but really, like here's the best way to think about it. When was the last time you were just uncoordinated and didn't understand your body? It was probably in middle school, just before you hit puberty, or while you were going through puberty.
It kind of goes back when you start to age too. Well, I fell down in the snow today.
I'm not quite there yet, but no, but really, you think about that. You're starting to finally figure out your body. Right. You're not quite coordinated. That's the exact stage those little baby horses are at, those foals. And you whip in front of a pickup or a truck that may have not only just that foal, but that mama in there too, trying to keep them safe. And suddenly you don't just have the one body trying to hold itself, but she's probably trying to figure out a way to keep her baby on its legs. And you're doing that especially in Montana, between some of the most dangerous months, because we'll have icy, snowy roads anywhere between March and July. There's been snow in July. It's happened. And every bit of little snow on those roads will create just enough ice that you can't stop. And it'll cause the secondary, tertiary effects that you as the driver in the little tiny Mazda or tiny Nissan just whipping in front of that Ford or Chevy or GMC pickup, you just don't recognize. And
that's a really good way to think about that from a foal. But you got to also realize that all of these animals have grown up and they're moving on solid earth.
Right.
Now you're putting them into something that's moving that they have not really experienced much at all. So there's that too. And I've seen, a mare will, especially with a foal, they know where those foals are at. They know where their feet are at, and they will try to do everything they can to keep from stepping on them, but at the same time, trying to keep themselves from falling down. So it's a real recipe for disaster if you're not careful. That's why, those small trips with a colt It takes a little bit longer because it is the right thing to do. You've got to slow down for those little guys and try to give them the easiest ride possible. You give a horse a bad ride. And I think I said this on the Facebook post earlier this summer.
You did.
About
it was when you were transferring the foal, and I think that again, good transfer of information, because it's not just the individuals on the outside of that rig; it's also
right,
those inside the rig.
right,
Take your time. Be careful with the animals in the back. It's not just you. It's not just the drivers outside of your vision.
right.
It's also the animals behind you, because if you don't take care of them, you're not going to know what's going to happen. They may, throw yourself in the back of that trailer, like you said in that post, and it's also on the YouTube. Go ahead and check out some of our Facebook posts that we've consolidated in that full compilation. But definitely, like, you were saying, you told him to get in the back of that trailer and experience, and tell his wife, drive exactly how he drives.
Like
Understand,
right.
like, make him figure out exactly what he's doing to those horses. He got in the back, and suddenly, holy cow, eyes wide open. I can't believe I've been doing that to the horses this entire time.
Right.
And suddenly it's the opposite end of the spectrum. I'm going to go granny slow. I'm going to church. I'm not changing anything. I'm just going as nice and easy as I can, because those are my babies in the back.
Right.
It's an interesting perspective.
Yeah. Sometimes you just don't think about it, or you underthink it, and you creep a little bit. You start out really well, and then you get more and more comfortable. Think they're more comfortable. Next thing you know, you're over driving what their capabilities are in case something happens. And it's always better to slow that thing down. I mean, I'm consistently in that pickup and that big diesel with that trailer. I can do 80, 85 in there comfortably on an interstate, 70 in the secondary roads. And a lot of times I'm 60 to 65 if I'm hauling something, depending on what it is, It's got to just slow it down and take it easy.
But and I think
I guess my point to that is you're slowing down. People don't see that as from an outside perspective. They think, oh, they're just creeping along. They don't know how to drive, and so they're frustrated that you're holding up traffic. And it's like, it's not because I'm underpowered. It's not because, I don't know where I'm going. I'm trying to take care of some of these animals in the back.
Well, and I think to switch my perspective real quick, something when I started learning how to pull a trailer, not just pull a trailer, but pull a trailer with livestock in the back. One of the first things you said to me, and it really stuck with me, and I've always abided by it since then, has been, you go your speed and you focus on you. And I think this is important for the public service announcement. If you are handling those cows and calves, go your speed, take your time. To those that are not those individuals hauling, work around them, because what you told me was, go your speed, take your time, do what you need to do, focus on you and your vehicle only, let everybody else go around you. If you have to be the slow one and they're just going to whip around you, let it happen, because the best thing that can happen is you take your time, you crawl through town, and then once you get out of town, you start getting on the highway and you deal with the speeds like what you're talking about, 65, 85, depending on the situation. But you do what you can handle, essentially. And that should really go for any driving, but really specifically when you're dealing with other lives in the back that's not just human, take your time, make everybody else work around you, and just be patient. Be patient is really the big thing.
Well, and you talked a little bit about, the road conditions. Most people think when they're driving, they're thinking, oh, bare roads. Now complicate that with ice, or wind, lower visibility, because you've got, now it's storming. Like today, we woke up and there was 4 or 5 inches of snow. Wasn't all accumulating, but I couldn't see, but in some cases 1.5 miles. And then when we're on the highway, it was like a 1/4 mile visibility. It was in some places like, wow. And then a truck goes by you, and we were driving, and all of a sudden it just hit a bunch of slush on us, and I couldn't see a thing. And reach down and hurry up on the wiper, what I'd been using it. But you just got to keep that thing in line.
Yeah.
And knowing the road, knowing ahead where I was at and what was coming, and then get that windshield clear, because you're driving blind. Yeah. It happens. There's all kinds of those external, challenges that go along with that to complicate that. And what is it? The chain of events, right? Or the holes in the plates all line up and bad things can happen. They go through all of the holes at once.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
and I think especially probably Montana, Wyoming. I don't know, maybe a little bit of North Dakota as well. But that territory, it's not just those elements, but wind. We are famous for just
Right.
high amounts of wind, and people don't understand that. And again, going back to trailers, suddenly it's not just the vehicle, it's that long, giant piece of paper that's just standing there waiting to just get blown over.
Right.
And you got to understand, slow down, let the wind hit you, but slowing down is going to help mitigate that risk or that potential threat. So
Yeah, I would say the off of the eastern front of anywhere in Wyoming is
yeah,
highway.
yeah,
our neighbors to the south,
yeah.
they get some wind down there too, or you're like here, they're closing roads because of the wind in some places
Oh
at
yeah,
times.
yeah. Livingston, Bozeman for sure. Yeah,
Judith
it's a
Gap,
struggle.
Great
Yeah,
Falls, yeah, that whole
let's
all
just
the way
name the
up.
whole state.
Yeah, you lose your hat. You want to put your name in it, and hopefully, when it hits the Dakotas, it piles up against a fence line, and somebody finds your name in it. Maybe they'll call you and try to send your hat back to you.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So I think with that, we will put this conversation to pasture.
All right.